I think we are live. Yay! Welcome back. I'm Kim Santini, and this is Journal Through It. Today is a Tuesday. It's actually my mom's birthday. Happy birthday, Mom. I hope you guys are all doing great and having fun with your journals. Really sorry that Ardith has been ill the last few days and unable to lead us in lessons, and I really hope, Ardith, that you are feeling better and back to yourself pretty darn soon because we miss you. Meanwhile, as a recap for what we just came from with respect to my lessons, the last time that we were together, we built spirit guide animals, animal totems, using a mixed media approach, and this was the rabbit that I built in class. I also had shared a number of spirit guide stencils for everybody to use, and I wanted to share one of the ways in which I used that. I cut out of one of those collage pieces. This is one of the collage pieces that I did, and I cut this owl out, and then I drew the lines in red paint pen and glued them down. And when I glued them down, the paint pen hadn't dried quite all the way, and so it smeared a little bit, and I actually really like that effect. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you and let you guys know that I am so enjoying all of the different spirit animal totems that you have made. They make me smile. They're beautiful and magical, and the things that people are discovering as they're creating them are really remarkable. I think in the other video I had mentioned that with my monthly journaling group that gets together, let me find a clear page to put this one on. We made self-portraits or selfies using that same sort of approach, and so I wanted to share. This was one that I had made using the Venus of Willendorf, which is a famous sculpture of a woman, an ancient one, and I used that silhouette for this. So there's lots of different ways that you could take that project or that approach and customize it and make it your own. So, and then yesterday when I learned that Ardith wasn't going to be able to join us, I shared a link to some museum coloring pages from different museum collections, and just along with a little prompt or whatever to use those in your books. So I just wanted to share too. This is a page from the New York Botanical Gardens coloring book. I printed out a couple copies of it, and originally I thought I was going to color it and glue it in, but then when I was looking at it in relationship to this particular page, I really liked the black and white element since the rabbit itself was just drawn in black and white. So I just cut it out and collaged it on here, and we'll see what happens. But meanwhile, I have a couple other copies that I may use in a traditional coloring sort of format, where I add color to the page as designed, and then I'll include it somewhere else in my book. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys do with those as well. So what are we going to do today? Today we are going to work with the idea of a coin. And a coin, as we know, is a round object, and it is a token or a representation of something of value. And in ancient times, or when coins were originally created and circulated, they were made out of some sort of precious metal, and they typically were stamped with a symbol or the portrait of someone who was important. And the symbol was of particular significance to whatever culture was using the coins. There's some really fascinating history on coins. If that's something that you'd like to look into or learn some more about, I will share some links with on the Journal Through It page on my website after this video goes live. But using the idea of the coin as a token, I thought that we should create tokens in our journals that represent things that are significant or important to us. And so with that in mind, I have started a page here with a number of circles already drawn on it. What I did was I found a circle template, and I just simply have the spool of ribbon. And you want a template that is going to give you maybe 6 circles per page at least, so that you have an opportunity to really explore the shapes. I'm not sure if you can see the circles that I've drawn here, but I have 2 columns on each page and 3 rows of circles here. And all I did was I set it down and I used a pencil and I traced the outline. And I did not measure this out. It's all purely eyeballed. You can get really precise if that's important to you, but it wasn't to me. And then I just started filling these circles in. But then as I was working on them and starting to throw colors on them, and I realized I didn't have much direction. And I wanted to have a little bit more direction. So I went back to the idea of what am I going to put in these circles? I am going to fill these circles with things that make me happy, with the ideas of things that make me happy or joyful. So, I'm a list maker. Let's start out with that. So I'm just going to grab a pencil here, and I'm going to think of things that make me happy. So, Mona is my kitty cat. So there's Mona. I love glitter. Of course, we know I love rabbits, right? I love blue skies with puffy clouds. You can just write this on your page. You can write it on a spare piece of paper if you want. Oh, I love Christina Bothwell's sculpture. I love stripes. I love roses. I particularly love my Grandma Kelly's peony bush, which I happen to have a piece of in my backyard. I love cut glass and the way it sparkles. I love light and shadow through plants. You see where I'm going? So I can continue this list. I love my daily glass of Coke. I particularly miss being able to go and get it at a drive-thru. It was always a treat. Oh, I love and seams, paintings. And I'm not really worried about putting these in any place where I can reference them. It's just the idea of thinking about the things that I love and putting that intention down on this page. I love spring. There's something about spring. It's such a gift when the earth comes back alive. So let's write that, Earth Reawakening. So now I have some direction as I begin thinking about what I'm going to put in these circles or these tokens on my page. So you can see the first couple ones that I did here, these are actually acrylic paint, and I was just mixing in place, sort of like the process that we used the first day where we were masking areas off with tape and painting over top of them. There are some other things that I could do. This is a little bit of evergreen tree that I pinched off on my walk yesterday, and I glued this on to the page. I sealed it behind some pretty heavy glue. It's acrylic gel medium. So I could pick and pull it if I wanted to, but none of the greenery is exposed, and the gel dries clear. So it's sealed in there. Let's see, stripes. Stripes was something that I liked, so let's add some stripes. This is just an acrylic paint pen. Stripes could be perfectly parallel, but I happen to like stripes when they're a little bit more uneven. So that was how I drew my stripes. So acrylic paint with paint pen over top of it. You could do the same thing with watercolors or colored pencils. This is one of my favorite paintings here. And I cut it out of an old business card. Excuse my reach. So I'm going to glue it down. I use the same stencil, the same spool of ribbon to cut that out earlier. So I'm just going to put some glue down here. Put that over top of it. I'm using acrylic matte medium is my glue, but you could also use, I didn't put that on straight. You could also use Elmer's glue, a glue stick, whatever you wish. There. And I also happen to have this flower cut out. I was going through my collage bin earlier today, and I was looking for pretty things that made me happy this morning, and this popped out at me. This is just some sort of scrapbooking bit of floral. And here is another piece that I've cut out. How about if I put that right there? So you can use collage as part of telling your story of things you like. I could peel a label off of a Coke bottle, since that's one of the things that I love, and cut that into a circle, or cut a circle out of it and glue that down if I wanted to. So look around your house and see what sorts of things you might have that are interesting enough or that fascinate you that you would like to collage. And look, here's another thing I'm going to do. Really messy. You can also, you don't just have to collage a circle shape, you can collage bits into your circles. See that? Here is another example, another example of me loving stripes. There's a few more stripes. Wipe my hands off. Did you know that you can collage with printed napkins? So this is a napkin that I happened to grab because it had butterflies on it. Here I cut a piece out of it, and you can see I have a circle drawn on it that I traced from, again, the same shape. Let me grab my scissors and cut this out. Napkins are really wonderful to collage with because they're sort of like tissue paper, and that they've become see-through. They'll also wrinkle quite a bit when you try to glue them down. So when you work with napkins or tissue, you need to throw your expectation of controlling it completely out the window, because it's going to do its own thing. So here I have this bit of napkin that I cut out. Now napkins, printed ones at least, are 2-ply, and there's going to be, if you work it very carefully and very gently, you'll be able to separate the back side. I'm trying to do this on camera, I'm not sure that you can see it. There. Separate the back side from the front. So now I have this lovely butterfly, and I think I'll put her right there. I'll put a little bit of glue down first. And move that around with my brush. And I have a good amount of glue on my brush too, because I'm going to put another layer over top of her. A glue stick won't work so well with napkin. You really want a liquid glue with a napkin or a tissue paper, because the friction that happens with a glue stick will tear it off. So I've created all of these with collage, but what about actually drawing on one? This is something that I absolutely love. It's a little plate. And what I love about it are the combination of the different styles of drawing. We have that just really fascinates me. So what if I were to take that and try to recreate that somewhere, just with lines? How about if I try it over here? So I have this little bit. I'm using that same contour style of drawing that you've seen me use in other exercises. Where I'm not trying to be perfect or exact. I'm just trying to capture the essence or the nature of what I see happening in front of me. And then there's this lovely little rabbit here. Let's see. I can tell I won't have room for the black outline. But now that I have this rabbit drawn, now that he's drawn, I can go in with watercolors if I wanted to and add the color that I love so much out of this. That big wonderful flower right on his hindquarters. So I've recreated a memory or an echo of something that I really love here. I'll add the watercolor and demo that, or share that with you later. So another thing that I could do is a process that I call deconstruction. And deconstruction is when you look at an artist's work that you really like. For instance, this is Anne Seams. I hope I'm saying her last name right. She is a painter whose work I have admired and loved for a very long time. This is a little book of her work. And one of the things that I love so much about her work is this delicate sort of line work that she creates in the way that she draws details. The figure's clothing becomes an outline. And I absolutely love that aspect of her work and the line detail involved. And so I could take that concept and try it myself. So here I have a dark piece of paper, or a dark token that I've already cut out. And I'm going to look at this rabbit that she has here. Let's see, I guess I can do it this way. And see if I can't draw the rabbit in a similar style as she does. I am using a white gel pen, which is so much fun to draw with on a dark ground. Now I can tell that I'm going to run out of room to put these cool antlers, so I'm going to make them just a little bit smaller in order for them to fit. And so I can go back now and I can really play with the quality of line. Do you see how she's got some thicker lines and some thinner ones? So now I can go back in, and just by paying attention to how she draws, I can sort of do something similar. So let's say that, you know, an example we used earlier in the week was Van Gogh's Starry Night. If you wanted to deconstruct Starry Night, one way you could do that would to be just practice strong circular brush marks using the same colors that he used. Like, pick two qualities of the work and use those as you begin to think about how you're going to deconstruct something. So this would be my start of an and seams deconstruction, and when I'm done with that, I can glue it right up there. So you can see how my token page filled up pretty quickly. There's some other ways or things that we could do working with this concept or this idea, and I'm going to show you. Let me turn to, I don't know if we're dry. Yeah, we're dry enough. Let me turn to a blank page just so that I have a clean slate to demonstrate. So we can make some mail art. Everybody's home. People are going a little stir crazy. Sure, we can reach out and FaceTime and send texts and emails and all, but there's something really wonderful about getting an actual piece of mail. And we can go out, you know, typically we go out and buy a card and mail it, but we can actually make our own too. And postcards are great. Postcards make fabulous mail art. So this is just a piece of paper. It's a little bit sturdier than copy paper. I think it's a page that came out of a journal that fell apart. You could do this if all you have is copy paper on hand. Glue two pieces of it together so it's a little bit sturdier. But this page happened to already have the salmon and orange marks on it. But what I did is I found a small circular tin and I traced my tokens. I put 2 rows of 3 across, and I trace those tokens down. And now, what I get to do is put something inside of them. I'm going to go back and I'm going to trace them again. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Is my head in the way? No? Oh, good. You know, one of the beautiful things about handmade cards is that they aren't perfect. I love being able to see the hand of the artist. So I've traced these 3 tokens, and what am I going to wish for my sender? I'm going to wish them joy. Just write the word in there. Now you could glue something on here, although I'm going to tell you, if you're going to glue anything to go in the mail, make sure it's glued down really well, because you don't want it to come off or get stuck or jammed in any of the mail processing equipment. But I could fill each of these circles in with some sort of a message for the recipient. And then I'm going to use the back side, and I can address it and put a stamp and my return address on it, and then mail this. So that's one form of mail art that you could make. Here is another one. Remember, this is the salvage from the, these are my salvage pieces from the spirit totems, spirit animal totems. I could cut these into postcard sizes and use these for this concept. Or I could cut them into postcard sizes, which I have done here with an older painting. I'm going to bring this panel in just as a, and you'll see I took my circle and I traced a circle. Now this process that I'm using is called negative space painting. I am going to, instead of painting where the circle is, I am going to paint the space around the circle. And I'm using white gesso. Gesso is a sort of like just a primer. And it can be transparent. I have water on my brush right now, so this gesso is a little bit watery than usual. But what it's going to do is it's going to create a layer sort of around the perimeter of this. And look, of course, I squeezed too much on. But you can see. I'm going to have to let this dry. But now I've created a postcard. It's still a circle themed, but I've used the concept of negative space painting. And then I have one more idea for you. Let me relocate these. And this is the idea of making prayer tokens. So just like we were making tokens on our pages, these are the same thing, same size, tokens cut out. I used an old piece of palette paper. This is the paper that I use in my palette when I lay my colors out and mix them. And I simply cut a whole bunch of circles out of those. Look at how beautiful they are. I didn't even have to expend any effort in getting these to look like this, because it was just the paper itself was already full of wonderfulness. And then what you can do with these tokens is you can write a prayer on the back. You can write a word, an affirmation, anything that you think you might want to hold in your hand and meditate on, or prayer with. To say a prayer, pray with. You can create these tokens for that. You could also put the word on the face of the card and put additional context on the back. It's completely up to you how you choose to do this. But then you end up with almost a deck of cards that you can then slip into a little tin. This is just a tin I've had from the dollar store, and I've been waiting for something to present itself for me to put in there. But look at that. And then I can keep this on my meditation shelf with my prayer beads and my candles, and use this whenever I sit down to be with myself. I will put words on mine like hope, faith, trust, believe, persevere. I may also put the names of really important people who have passed away, as a way to continue to honor and cherish them and their memory. So that's a lot of stuff that I've thrown at you today. A lot of stuff. Let's sort of recap, because there's a lot here. So we're going to go back to our page here where we filled some circles or tokens on the page with things that were important to us, things that made us happy, and we looked at a different variety of ways that we could go about constructing these circles. We made some postcards using the same approach so that we can send some love in the mail, old school style. Let me get this wet one here. And there's this one. And then I also shared a way for you to make your own little prayer deck using the circular form and some other paper that you have decorated. You could also use wrapping paper. Wrapping paper is going to be it's going to have less substance, but if you glue it onto something before you cut it up, you'll get a nice sturdy surface. You could use old catalogs, magazine covers. I know you guys will be creative. You always are. So have at it. Have at it. Have fun. I can't wait to see what you're doing. Make sure that when you do finish your work, if you share it online, I would love to see it. So in order for me to see it, if you tag it with Journal Through It, hashtag Journal Through It, then Ardith and I will have an opportunity to see what you're making, as well as everybody else in the group. And there, like I said, there's been some really phenomenal things. I was particularly falling in love with the spirit animals, the spirit totems that I've seen the last couple nights. So next up is supposed to be Ardith tomorrow, if she feels up to it. If not, I'll find a prompt of some sort and throw that on my page for you. I won't be able to do a video tomorrow, but I can certainly give you something to think about and work on. And I will be back on Thursday at 10 Eastern. So I look forward to seeing you guys. Everybody stay well, stay sane, and let's journal through it. Oh, and I need to check questions, don't I? Where's my phone? It's buried on here. Let me check your questions. Oh, there's no questions this morning. Everybody's just saying good morning. Did you notice that I'm not upside down today? I'm pretty pleased with myself over figuring that out. It's the little things, right? So, yeah, I'm really happy you guys joined me. And I will check the thread later on in case there are any questions. And get to journaling. I can't wait to see what you make. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Bye.